Let me tell you something real. Something every woman needs to hear straight from the source. Men don't always say what they feel, but they always show it. A man may not stand in front of you and confess, I miss you. But his actions, those tiny shifts, those subtle movements, those quiet changes will tell you everything his pride refuses to admit. And that's what this message is all about. Learning how to read the truth he thinks he's hiding. See, ladies, men feel deeply, but we express it differently. We're taught to keep it together, to act unbothered, to pretend like nothing gets to us. But when a woman touches a man's soul, when she brings peace, comfort, and meaning into his world, her absence hits harder than anything he ever expected. And when it hits silently. That's when he starts showing up in ways he never did before. That's when the little gestures become loud signs. That's when the behavior changes speak louder than 1,000 I miss you texts. This isn't about reading signs with desperation. It's about recognizing your worth. It's about understanding that when a man truly values you, he won't let distance become permanent. He'll make effort. He'll show consistency. He'll shift because the fear of losing a woman like you forces a man to step into the truth of what he feels. So in this speech, we're diving deep into the subtle, unspoken, powerful ways a man reveals he misses you. Without saying a single word, he shows up in the little ways, even when he's quiet. Ladies, hear me clearly. When a man truly misses you, he doesn't always come with the grand speeches, the dramatic confessions, or the Hollywood style, I can't live without you scenes. Most men don't operate like that. Men communicate differently. They express emotion through action, not paragraphs. So when he misses you, he shows up in the little ways, the kind of ways most women overlook because they're too busy waiting for some big romantic announcement. But the truth is, the real proof that a man misses you is almost always hiding inside the small, quiet moments he can't control. A man might not call you at 2 a.m. crying about how much he wants you back. That's not how men move. But he will start dropping hints. You'll see him liking your picture, the one he swore he didn't care about. You'll notice his name in the list of people who watch your story within seconds of you posting it. He might accidentally respond to something he already saw 2 days ago just to start a conversation. That's him showing up quietly. That's his heart slipping, even when his pride is trying to stay strong. When a man misses you, he becomes sensitive to your presence again. Suddenly, everything reminds him of you. He sees something funny and thinks, man, she would have laughed at that. He hears a song and immediately remembers that one drive you took together. He walks past the place you liked and feels a little tug in his chest. He might not be talking to you, but he's thinking about you. And that thinking turns into little actions he doesn't even realize he's doing. Some men, when they miss you, start checking on the things you once told them mattered. You said you had an interview coming up. He'll text you on the day like, how'd it go? You mentioned your mom wasn't feeling well. Out of nowhere, he'll say, she doing better now. He remembers details not because he's pretending to care, but because he actually does. When a man misses you, your world stays active in his mind. He holds on to the details because those details are his connection to you. Even the quiet men, the ones who claim they don't chase, the ones who act like they're too busy, too tough, too unbothered, even they slip. Their effort reveals them. You'll see him logging in on the app you both use. At the same time, you're online. You'll see him texting you something small, something he could have kept to himself, but he didn't. Why? Because missing someone creates a restlessness inside a man. He can only hold it in for so long before it starts showing through these subtle gestures. Men are not complicated. They're just subtle. They don't want to feel exposed. They don't want to feel vulnerable. They don't want you to know how much power you actually have over their emotions. So instead of saying, I miss you, they say things like, you good, or I saw that post. It sounds casual, but it's not casual. It's calculated. It's emotional. It's his way of peeking back into your life without admitting he's been thinking about you nonstop. And pay attention to this. A man who misses you will find reasons to come near you, even if he pretends it's accidental. He'll comment on something random. He'll react to your story with the simplest emoji. He'll pretend he was thinking about something funny you once said. It's all him trying to reestablish connection, but through the smallest door possible. Because small doors feel safer for men who don't want to look like they care too much. You'll also see him fixing behaviors he once ignored. If he knows you liked when he checked in, suddenly he checks in more. If he knows you hated when he took forever to reply, suddenly he responds quicker. These are not coincidences. These are quiet adjustments made by a man who misses your energy and doesn't want to lose his shot if he gets one more chance. And the biggest sign of all, he becomes consistent without being asked. He stops disappearing for days. He stops making excuses. He becomes predictable in the good way. Why? Because missing you forces him to realize he can't keep doing the bare minimum. His silence becomes effort. His quietness becomes presence. His small gestures become loud statements. So, ladies, don't underestimate the little ways. That's where the truth lives. A man may not come back shouting that he misses you, but trust me, when a man genuinely misses a woman, he shows up gently, quietly, subtly, but undeniably. His actions start telling on him long before his words do. He checks on you without checking on you. But ladies, let me break something down for you that will change the way you read a man forever. When a man misses you but doesn't want to admit it, he becomes a silent observer in your life. He checks on you without actually checking on you. Because men, especially the ones who don't want to look vulnerable or exposed, become investigators instead of communicators. They don't ask directly, how are you? What's going on in your life? No, that feels too emotional, too honest, too revealing. So they do it in the shadows, quietly, consistently, and more often than you realize. When a man misses you, he doesn't disconnect from your world. He stays tethered to it. He still wants access to the parts of your life he once held, even if he no longer has the right to ask. So what does he do? He watches your stories, every single one of them. He scrolls through your posts looking for clues about how you're doing, who you're with, what you're feeling. He may not double tap anything. He may not comment. He may not react, but he sees everything. He's paying attention silently. And let me tell you right now, men don't watch the stories of women they don't care about. Men don't check the online status of someone they're over. Men don't keep track of your updates just because. There is always a reason, always an emotion behind the behavior. When a man keeps checking in from a distance, that distance is emotional armor. It's his way of staying connected without looking like he's still invested. When a man misses you, he checks if you're moving on. He looks to see if there's another man in your comments, if you're smiling in a new picture, if you seem happier than you did when you were with him, not because he wants to control you, but because he still feels connected to you, because he still feels something he's trying to hide. Silence doesn't mean detachment. Sometimes silence is emotional panic wearing a calm face. He'll also do something very specific. He'll ask around. He might talk to a mutual friend like, hey, how's she been? But he'll pretend it's casual. He'll ask your cousin something like, is she doing okay? But make it seem like small talk. Men love acting like they just wanted to know. But the truth is, they're gathering information. They want to know if you're hurting, if you're healing, if you're mad, numb, moving on, or still open. He won't ask you directly because direct questions reveal direct feelings. And that's the one thing he's trying to protect. And here's the real truth. When a man misses you, he still pays attention to the little things you post that he used to overlook. You put up a quote about outgrowing people, he reads it twice. You share something about being disappointed. He wonders if it's about him. You post a song lyric that sounds sad. He listens to the whole song, trying to decode what you're feeling. Men may not be great with emotional expression, but they are great with emotional investigation. A man who doesn't care won't try to understand you. A man who misses you will try to understand without being seen trying. Ladies, a man can disappear from your inbox, but still check your world every single day. He might not talk to you, but he watches everything that could tell him if you're still connected to him in any way. He might not say, I miss you, but he'll want to know if another man is now the one making you laugh. He might not be around, but his attention is. And the reason he does this quietly is because men need control, not over you, but over their own pride. He doesn't want to look weak. He doesn't want to be the first one to break. He doesn't want to risk getting ignored, rejected, or told that you've moved on. So he stays in that gray space where he keeps a close eye on you while pretending he's above it all. He'll notice if you're glowing more. He'll notice if you're going out more. He'll notice if you stop posting sad stuff. He'll notice if you're suddenly silent, because silence scares men more than words ever will. A woman's silence makes a man nervous. It makes him wonder. It makes him imagine. It makes him question his decisions. So he keeps coming back to check, not because he's controlling, but because he's emotionally unsettled. And sometimes he'll do something even deeper. He'll send a random message just to gauge your energy. Saw your post. You okay? That story was funny. That place looks nice. Where is it? He acts like it's casual, but nothing about it is casual. It's calculated. He's checking your tone, your vibe, your openness. D, a man who misses you, still wants access. He wants to know if he still exists in your world, even if he has no right to ask. So he checks in quietly, hoping you don't notice how often he's watching and hoping you notice just enough to know he still cares. VR ladies, the biggest truth is this: but a man may stop talking to you, but he never stops looking for you. Not if he truly misses you. He can't replace your energy, and that's when it hits him. Ladies, let me tell you something real, raw, and true. When a man misses you, it's not your face he misses first. It's your energy, your presence, the way you made him feel without even trying. Because a woman's energy, real feminine, warm, uplifting energy, is something a man can't just go out and replace. He can meet new women, talk to new people, get distracted for days or weeks, but eventually it hits him. And when it hits him, it hits hard, because what you brought into his life wasn't ordinary. It was rare. It was specific. It was you. Men don't always realize the value of your energy when they have it. They don't always appreciate the softness, the patience, the comfort you naturally give. They don't always understand how much peace your presence brought into their chaos. A man can get used to something good so quickly that he starts believing it's normal until he loses it. And that's when he discovers that. Not all energy feels the same. Not all connections hit the same. Not all women speak to his soul the way you did. Or he'll go out trying to distract himself. He might talk to someone new, thinking maybe this will fill the gap. He might hang out with friends thinking maybe laughter will help him forget. He might even try to convince himself he's fine, acting unbothered and carefree. But deep down, he feels that emptiness. He feels that shift. He feels that missing piece where your energy used to be. And he starts to realize something he didn't see before. Connection is easy to find, but your energy is not. Your energy was memorable. You made him laugh differently. You listened differently. You understood his silence. You didn't make him feel judged. You didn't make him feel small. You didn't try to change him. You saw him. And that is something a man doesn't forget. He can try to replace your body, but he cannot replace your soul. The way you spoke to him, the way you looked at him, the way you made him feel safe enough to be vulnerable without even realizing he was being vulnerable. That's the kind of impact a man carries long after you're gone. So when he meets someone new, he notices the differences. Not because she's not good enough, but because she's not you. He'll laugh at her jokes, but it won't feel the same. He'll talk to her, but the conversation won't flow the way it flowed with you. He'll look at her, but she won't light something up inside him the way you did. He'll compare without meaning to compare. He'll feel the void without meaning to feel it. And he'll realize that what he had with you wasn't something he can duplicate just by moving on quickly. Men learn through contrast. They learn by experiencing the absence of what they took for granted. When he loses your energy, he starts paying attention to the things he overlooked. The comfort in your voice, the way you remembered the small things about him, the way you knew how to calm him down when he was frustrated, He starts remembering how peaceful it felt to sit next to you doing absolutely nothing. He starts remembering how natural it felt to talk to you for hours without forcing anything. And that memory becomes louder than any distraction he tries to use to replace it. And the truth is, men don't miss the physical stuff as much as people think. Physical attraction can be found anywhere, but emotional peace, genuine understanding, a connection that feels like home, that's rare. And when a man realizes he lost that, he feels it in his chest. It's not a small feeling. It's a jolt. It's a wake-up call. It's that moment when he finally acknowledges that losing you wasn't just losing a relationship. It was losing a version of himself he only experienced with you. That's when he starts replaying moments in his head. The laughs, the inside jokes, the conversations that made him open up in ways he didn't open up with others. He'll start remembering how you motivated him, how you grounded him, how you made him feel respected and appreciated without him having to earn it every second. And he'll realize that no matter where he goes, he can't recreate that because that energy came from you and only you. Then suddenly silence isn't silence anymore. It becomes a reminder that he has something meaningful and he let it slip. He'll try to shake the thought, but he can't. He'll try to convince himself he's moved on, but deep inside, he knows something is missing because your energy wasn't just part of his life, it became part of his balance. And that's when it truly hits him. Bro, he can meet new faces, but not new energies. He can talk to new people, but not new connections. He can move on, but he can't replace the part of him you awaken. Ladies, that's the moment every man faces. The moment when he finally realizes that what you gave him wasn't ordinary and losing you wasn't casual. It was a loss he can't undo. No matter who he meets next, he tries to re-enter your life without admitting he missed Uber. There comes a moment in every woman's life when she realizes that a man's silence isn't strength. It's confusion. It's not that he didn't think about you. It's not that he didn't feel your absence. It's that he didn't know how to deal with the emotions that came with losing access to you. And when a man hits that point, when the quiet starts echoing back at him, he begins trying to re-enter your life in the most subtle, indirect, almost comical ways. He won't say he missed you. His pride won't let him. His ego won't allow the words to form, but his behavior, oh, that will scream it louder than any confession ever could. A man will start testing the waters. He'll send that first message, not a deep emotional message, but a safe one. Something like, hey, saw something that reminded me of you. Or just checking in. It won't be a full apology. It won't be an admission of guilt. It's his way of asking, is the door still open, without actually knocking? Men fear the door being shut more than they fear silence. Silence they can pretend to control. A closed door that hits the ego. So he approaches slowly, cautiously, making sure he doesn't bruise himself with the truth. You'll notice he watches your stories again. He'll start liking posts he ignored for weeks. He'll show up where he knows you hang out online. He might even reach out to your friends in the most careless, casual way. How's she been? But you and I both know he's not asking out of curiosity. He's asking out of insecurity. He wants to measure how much of him still exists in your world. He wants to make sure he hasn't been fully replaced. He wants to confirm that your silence isn't as strong as his pride. And when he finally sends that message or makes that call, he'll mask it in convenience. I was just thinking, oh, I had a question about something. No, he didn't. He wants connection. He wants reassurance. He wants to know the bond he took for granted still has life in it. But instead of saying, I miss you, he'll pretend he's just being friendly. And that's exactly how men try to sneak back in. They hide behind casual gestures so they never have to expose their vulnerability. You see, men come back when the emotional consequences finally catch up with them. When he realizes that the peace he felt when you were around didn't come from his life. It came from your presence, your voice, your energy, your softness, your understanding. And when that goes missing, it rattles him. It makes him confront the truth he buried. You mattered more than he admitted. So instead of owning it, he takes the side door back into your world, hoping you want to notice the hesitation in his steps. But the truth is, you notice everything. Women always do. You recognize the shift in his tone. You feel the uncertainty in his words. You hear the quiet plea in his voice, even when he tries to disguise it. Because a man who didn't miss you wouldn't try to return. A man who didn't think about you wouldn't reach out. A man who didn't feel the void wouldn't try to refill it. Even his smallest actions reveal the truth he tries so hard to hide. He'll linger in your messages a little longer. He'll laugh harder at your jokes than he did before. He'll compliment things he never noticed. He'll offer help without you asking. It's not because he suddenly transformed. It's because he's trying to reestablish his position in your life without admitting he lost it. His ego wants back in, but his heart is what pushed him to the door in the first place. A man returning without acknowledgement is a man wrestling with himself. He wants to come back, but he doesn't want to confess. He wants your warmth, but not the accountability. He wants your presence, but not the vulnerability of saying, I messed up. This is how men operate when they realize they miscalculated your value. They don't walk back confidently. They tiptoe. They don't announce their return. They hint. They don't admit they missed you. They show it in every indirect attempt to reconnect. And that's exactly where your power lies. You don't need to chase. You don't need to question. You don't need to feed the ego that left you starving. All you need to do is watch the truth unfold. Because when a man tries to re-enter your life quietly, it's because he felt the impact of losing you loudly. His actions reveal what his pride refuses to say. He missed you deeply, quietly, and more than he ever expected. His behavior changes. He becomes more consistent when a man realizes your absence is hitting him harder than he ever expected. Something shifts inside him. The same man who once replied late, acted distant, or kept you guessing suddenly starts showing up with a different energy. And it's not because he learned some magic trick or read a relationship book overnight. It's because losing your access, your presence, and your emotional support wakes him up in a way nothing else could. When reality hits him, his behavior begins to change, and consistency becomes the language he finally speaks. A man becoming consistent is one of the loudest unspoken truths he'll ever show you, because consistency takes effort. It takes intention. It takes emotional investment. A man who doesn't care won't try to be consistent. And a man who isn't afraid of losing you won't suddenly start putting in work. But when he starts thinking about what life felt like when you were fully present, your laughter, the comfort you brought, the way you understood him without him explaining, he realizes he doesn't want to risk losing that again. So he begins to act in ways that reflect that fear and that desire at the same time. You'll notice it in the way he communicates. The delayed replies gone. The mixed signals, they start disappearing. The hot and cold behavior that confused you, it fades, because now he knows that every moment of hesitation, every moment of inconsistency pushes you farther away. He becomes more intentional with his words. He checks in more regularly. He asks how your day was because he genuinely wants to know. He makes plans, and this time he follows through. That's the difference between a man who's unsure and a man who finally understands your worth. He starts remembering the small things, the things he used to miss or pretend didn't matter. If you said you had a busy week, he'll follow up. If you share something that was bothering you, he'll check in the next day. He pays attention not to impress you, but because he finally realizes you won't stay in his life if he treats you like an afterthought. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about showing effort where effort was once missing. And the truth is, men don't become consistent out of convenience. They become consistent out of clarity. When he gets clarity about what he feels for you, consistency grows naturally. When he gets clarity about what losing you feels like, effort becomes automatic. He starts putting in the work, not because you asked, but because something inside him refuses to go back to a life where he wonders what you're doing, who you're with, and whether another man now has the access he took for granted. You'll notice his tone softens. The defensiveness he once had starts to fall away. He no longer tries to look detached or uninterested because he realizes indifference is what caused distance. Now he chooses honesty. He expresses himself more. He apologizes when he's wrong, not perfectly, but sincerely. He doesn't hide behind excuses anymore because he finally understands that excuses cost him the emotional closeness he now craves. Again, consistency also shows up in the way he prioritizes you. He stops making you compete with his distractions, friends, work, habits, or ego. He gives you his time, not leftovers. He makes space for you in his day, in his plans, and in his mind. And when a man starts prioritizing you consistently, it's because the thought of losing you again is heavier than the pride he used to hold on to so tightly. He becomes more dependable. If he says he's going to call, he does. If he says he wants to see you, he sets a date. If he says he's working on himself, you'll actually see changes, not just promises. His effort becomes visible. His actions finally align with his words. That's the kind of consistency that can't be faked because real consistency requires emotional maturity. And here's the hidden truth. Consistency is a man's unspoken way of saying, I know what you mean to me now. It's his way of acknowledging the mistakes he made without forcing himself to say the words directly. It's a form of accountability wrapped in action. A man may struggle to articulate his feelings, but he will always reveal them through the energy he gives you. His effort becomes steady. His presence becomes reliable. His communication becomes warm instead of confusing. Consistency is the moment he stops treating you like an option and starts treating you like a priority. It's when his actions finally match the value he sees in you. And that shift doesn't happen just because he wants you back. It happens because he understands what life feels like. Without the parts of you that once made him feel understood, grounded, and connected, it hits him that he can't risk going back to that emptiness. So he becomes the version of himself he should have been all along. A man becoming consistent is not an accident. It's a realization. It's a fear. It's respect. It's finally seeing the woman he almost lost and understanding she won't tolerate the version of him who took her for granted. And once that clarity hits him, consistency becomes his new language, his new behavior, and his new attempt at keeping the connection that once slipped through his fingers. He silently fears losing you, and that's when he changes. There comes a moment in every man's life when the silence becomes louder than the conversations he used to ignore. When the absence of your presence weighs heavier than all the excuses he once hid behind. When the reality of losing you, not the idea, not the possibility, but the real fear of waking up and knowing you're no longer reachable, finally hits him in a way that shakes him from the inside out. That's when he changes. Not because you begged, not because you chased, not because you reminded him of your worth, but because he feels the fear of losing something he didn't know he needed until it wasn't guaranteed anymore. Men don't fear arguments. They don't fear distance. They don't fear silent treatment. What they fear deep down is permanence. The permanent shift where the woman who gave them grace suddenly stops offering it. The moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop correcting him, the moment you stop checking in, that silence terrifies him more than anything, because silence means you've learned to live without him. Silence means you're adapting. Silence means another man might be stepping into the emotional space he used to hold casually, confidently, carelessly. That fear wakes him up in ways pride never could. It makes him replay every moment he overlooked you. Every time he responded dry, every time he thought you'd always be there, no matter how little he showed up, suddenly he realizes the comfort he took for granted wasn't permanent. It was borrowed. It depended on effort, connection, and respect. And his lack of consistency has consequences. That thought alone creates an internal panic he'll never admit, but he'll show it through change. His behavior shifts quietly. At first, he becomes more present, not dramatically, but intentionally. A man who fears losing you stops pushing you away with ego. He starts fighting those habits that once created distance. He stops taking 3 hours to respond because now he's the one overthinking. He wonders if you're losing interest. He wonders if someone else is giving you the attention he failed to give. He wonders whether you've emotionally moved on, even if you physically haven't. That fear makes him alert in a way you've never seen before. He starts choosing his words carefully. He becomes more thoughtful. The conversations feel different because he finally understands that the wrong words, dismissive words, careless words could cost him the connection he's suddenly terrified of losing. He softens not because he's weak, but because he realizes the strongest move he can make is showing vulnerability instead of hiding behind pride. The man who used to assume you'd always understand him now makes an effort to understand you. He pays attention to your tone, your silence, your distance. He reads into things he once ignored because he knows every missed signal now carries the weight of possibility. Possibility that you're drifting. Possibility that he's already late. Possibility that he's fixing something you've already mentally walked away from. He becomes more intentional with his time. A man who fears losing you doesn't keep you waiting anymore. He doesn't cancel plans casually. He doesn't treat you like an option. That fear teaches him responsibility. It teaches him that love isn't maintained through words. It's maintained through consistency and effort. Two things he realizes he didn't give enough of until the fear hit him. He also becomes more observant of your emotional needs. Where he once brushed things off, he now digs deeper. If he senses something is off, he doesn't avoid it. He addresses it. If you seem distant, he doesn't ignore it. He tries to bridge the gap. He's no longer comfortable with uncertainty because uncertainty means he could lose what he's only now fully appreciating. The fear of losing you also pushes him to confront himself. He starts reflecting on his patterns, why he pulled away, why he minimized your feelings, why he didn't show the affection he felt but never expressed. Men don't do self-reflection without motivation and the possibility of losing a good. Woman will always be the strongest motivator. He starts asking himself what he needs to change, not to impress you, but to keep you. That's when you see growth, not just action. And here's the real truth that men rarely admit. When a man fears losing a woman he genuinely values, he becomes emotionally honest in a way he never was before. That fear breaks down the walls he built. It strips away the ego. It forces him to prioritize instead of procrastinate. He becomes more communicative, more reassuring, more present. Not out of manipulation, not out of desperation, but out of realization. Realization that losing you wouldn't just hurt. It would change something inside him forever. The fear of losing you is not weakness. It's awareness. It's clarity. It's the moment he finally understands that effort is not optional. Presence is not negotiable, and your love is not something he can gamble with. And even though he may never say it out loud, he will show it through consistency, patience, sincerity, and a level of emotional effort he once thought he'd never need to give. When a man silently fears losing you, he doesn't stay the same. He evolves, he adjusts, he chooses differently, because deep down he knows that women like you don't come twice. He knows your absence would hit deeper than his pride could ever protect him from. And that silent fear becomes the reason he finally steps up and becomes the man you should have had all along. Ladies, let me leave you with this. A man may not always speak his heart, but he will always reveal it through the shifts in his behavior. You don't need to decode paragraphs, read between dry messages, or chase answers that never come. When a man truly misses you, understands your value, and feels the weight of your absence, he won't hide behind silence forever. He'll show it quietly, consistently, intentionally. You deserve a love that shows effort without being asked, a connection that doesn't leave you confused, a man who doesn't treat you like a backup plan, but like a blessing he refuses to lose. When he realizes who you are, your strength, your softness, your presence, your energy, his actions will change. Not because you pressured him, but because he woke up to the truth. Women like you don't wait forever. And hear me when I tell you this. Your silence, your boundaries, your decision to choose yourself is what reveals the real him. If he steps up, it's because he knows your worth. If he stays distant, it's because he was never capable of loving you at the level you deserve. Don't chase clarity from someone who shows confusion. Don't beg for consistency from someone who gives you fragments. You hold the power, not through force, but through value. When a man misses you, he'll show it. When he's ready, he'll rise to meet you. And if he doesn't, baby, that's your sign that God, life, and fate are clearing space for someone.